A broke girl crashes into a mechanic's garage. He helps her for free. Hours later, luxury cars line up outside. This isn't luck, it's a test. And what happens next will blow your mind. Like the video and subscribe now, you won't want to miss what this turns into. The crash came like a punch through glass, sudden, sharp, and impossible to ignore. Darius flinched beneath the hood of an old F-150 as a deafening screech and a jardy bang tore through the calm afternoon. Tools clattered from the bench. He turned just in time to see a silver Corolla smash through his half-open garage door, tearing metal like paper and skidding halfway across the concrete floor in a mess of smoke, rubber, and grinding steel. The front bumper cracked off and spun across the bay, stopping at his feet. He didn't move at first, just stared in disbelief. A second later, the driver's door flew open and a young woman stumbled out, coughing hard, one hand clutching her side, the other waving off the thick smoke now seeping from under the hood. She looked barely 20, drenched in sweat, hoodie soaked through, jeans dirt-streaked, her eyes wide and terrified. "I'm sorry I couldn't stop, brakes failed. I didn't mean," she gasped. Almost collapsing onto her knees, Darius lunged forward, catching her arm just before she dropped. "You okay? Sit down, sit." He guided her to a nearby tire stack, grabbing a dusty water bottle from the shelf and pressing it into her trembling hands. She took a shaky sip and tried to breathe. "I was coming off the freeway," she rasped. The car started smoking, then the brakes stopped, unworking completely. "I saw your sign. I couldn't turn. I just aimed for the door." Darius crouched in front of her, scanning for visible injuries. "You should have aimed for a damn hospital. Would have missed it, or flipped." "I figured. Here was better." He glanced at the car. It was a mess. Hood warped, radiator hissing, oil dripping, brake fluid spraying in quick, angry spurts. The whole front end looked like it had gone 12 rounds with a battering ram. "This thing's a coffin on wheels," he muttered, stepping closer to inspect. "You should have junked it weeks ago." "Didn't have a choice," she said softly. "Didn't have money. Didn't have anyone to call. Just moved here. Car's all I got." He stood up slowly, staring at her skin pale from stress, lips quivering like she'd been through war. She wasn't just broke. She was broken. "You got a name?" he asked. She hesitated. "Maya." "All right, Maya. Here's what's gonna happen. You leave the term. I fix it. No charge." She blinked at him, stunned. "Wait, what?" "You heard me. But I can't pay like, not even a little. I don't even have a job yet." "I didn't ask if you could pay," he said calmly, already walking back to his bench to grab a jack and gloves. "I said leave it. I'll take care of it." She stood slowly, shaky, unsure. "Why would you do that?" "Because clearly no one else is going to." Her eyes glistened. She pulled something from her pocket, a folded slip of paper, and set it down carefully on the counter near the register. "Thank you," she said, voice cracking. "I mean it." Without another word, she turned and limped out through the bent garage door, disappearing down the street with the sunset at her back. Darius exhaled and stared at the paper for a long second before tucking it into his wallet without reading it. Then he rolled up his sleeves and got to work. The engine was a disaster. Broken belt, ruptured hose, cracked radiator, leaking brakes, and a fried sensor just for fun. But he worked in silence. As the hours passed and the shadows stretched, outside, the air turned cooler, and the sky melted from gold to indigo. He kept going, lost in the rhythm bolt, twist, tighten, wipe until his hands were black with grease, and the only light came from the fluorescent flicker overhead. Finally, after hours of relentless fixing, he stepped back to drink water and breathe. That's when he remembered the note. He pulled it from his wallet, unfolded it. In tidy, feminine handwriting were 9 words. "Thank you for being kind to someone invisible." He read it twice, then again, then smiled, just faintly, folding it once more and slipping it back where it came from. He turned back to the Corolla to reattach the front panel when he heard the sound, a low, humming rumble, soft at first, then growing louder. Engines, multiple bomb, not the clatter of beaters or pickups, but deep-throated luxury hums, purring like tigers in the dark. Darius walked to the garage door and froze. Rolling toward him, one by one, were the kinds of cars he only saw in magazines: Ferraris, Rolls-Royces, Bentleys, Porsches, a blacked-out McLaren with headlights like eyes. They lined up along the curb outside his tiny garage like a silent convoy of kings. Doors opened in unison. Men in suits stepped out, all sharp jaw lines and sunglasses and Bluetooth earpieces. One of them, tall, bald, and calm as stone, walked up the driveway toward him. "You, Darius," Darius stared. "Yeah, our boss said to bring the fleet here. He only trusts you. You're what?" Darius took a step back. "Your boss, who is he?" "You'll know soon," the man said, handing him a key fob. "This is the first one. More are on the way." And as he turned back, more engines came around the corner. More headlights, more polished chrome. Darius's garage, small, dingy, forgotten, was suddenly the epicenter of something unreal. He looked down at the key fob in his hand, still smelling faintly of coolant and sweat. Whatever was happening, it had only just begun. Darius didn't sleep that night, not because of the banging door he had to fix or the busted tools he tripped over trying to make room, but because the parade of high-end cars didn't stop. Every 15 minutes, another luxury vehicle pulled up: Bentleys, Porsches, even a damn Maybach, and each one came with the same phrase from a different driver. "Our boss says only you touch these by midnight." The entire street outside his garage looked like a dealership for the rich and absurd. Neighbors peeked from their windows. One even came outside, holding a flashlight and a baby monitor, asking what the hell was going on. Darius didn't have an answer. He barely had one for himself. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't sat down. And he was beginning to wonder if this was all some elaborate prank set up by a reality show. But every man that came was serious, polite, and calm like trained drivers. Some ex-military, judging by the way they moved. There were no explanations, just keys, respectful nods, and then silence. When the last one arrived, a pearl-white Ferrari LaFerrari, Darius refused to touch it. "Nope," he muttered, stepping back. "Not until someone tells me what the hell is going on." He crossed his arms and stared at the driver. A young guy in a three-piece suit and dark shades, even though it was 1 a.m. The man smiled slightly. "You've earned attention, Mr. Darius. I didn't ask for it." "True," the man said, "which is why you're getting it." Darius was about to push further when a long black SUV in Escalade pulled up slowly behind the line of supercars. The back door opened. A woman stepped out. His heart skipped. It was her, Maya, but not the Maya he'd seen earlier. Not the sweaty, exhausted girl in a worn hoodie. This Maya looked like she'd walked out of a Billionaire's gala. She wore a fitted black dress, sleek heels, and her hair was in perfect waves that glinted under the streetlight. Her posture was confident, every step like it belonged on a runway. She walked up to him, and for a moment neither said a word. Then she smiled, soft but with a glint of something sharper. "Hey again," Darius blinked. You sent all these." "Not me exactly. My father did, but I gave the order. You said you were broke. Nochu. I never said I was poor, just that I had no money to pay you then." He stared at her. "You tricked me. I tested you." She corrected. "And you passed." Darius was silent. She reached into her clutch and pulled out a sleek black card. "My name is Maya Harrington. My father is Charles Harrington, CEO of Harrington Motors." The name hit him like a hammer. Harrington Motors was one of the largest auto conglomerates on the East Coast dealerships. Imports, racing teams. "You're lying, Oh, I'm not," she said, handing him the card. It shimmered with embedded gold letters. This wasn't just a kindness test. "Darius, it was a capability test. You fixed my car faster than any of our dealerships. You did it alone, and you didn't ask for a dime." Darius looked at the fleet behind her. So what now, Zhao? She said. We talk business. Business. My father wants to expand. We're tired of sterile, overpriced chains. We want people with integrity, real talent, heart. He wants to back you, build a new kind of garage, high-end, human, and you'd run it. Darius looked around at his cracked garage floor, flickering lights, the oil stains that had been there since the 80s. Why me? She smiled. Because you didn't turn me away when I looked like trash. Darius rubbed his jaw, adrenaline buzzing in his ears. I need time. You have 48 hours, then we talk again. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Darius? He looked up. Don't be late. People like you don't come around often. And when they do, we don't let them disappear. She stepped into the SUV, the door shut, and just like that, she was gone. Darius stood alone on the concrete, key fob still in hand, surrounded by a fleet of machines worth more than the block he lived on. Whatever world he had just stepped into, it was about to change everything. Darius stood frozen, the black card Maya had handed him still clenched in his hand, his knuckles white. The SUV had vanished into the night like smoke, but the weight of her words pressed down on him like a mountain. Run it, she'd said. Talk business. But there was no time to absorb the shock. Behind him, the Ferrari's engine purred impatiently, then the Bentley's. Then one by one, the entire convoy seemed to come alive. Headlights blinking, engines growling low like lions waiting to pounce. Darius turned and slowly stepped back into his garage. He scanned the room, the cracked concrete, the grease-soaked floor, the cheap fluorescent lighting barely clinging to life. This was his sanctuary, his home, but it looked like a shack next to the monsters parked outside. He didn't know what the hell was going on, but he wasn't about to leave those cars unattended. He grabbed his gloves and started working. One by one, he moved the cars inside, inspecting them quickly, checking the basics fluid levels, brakes, electronics. Every single one was spotless. But it wasn't about repairs. It was about trust. Someone had sent him these machines not because they were broken, but because they were watching him, testing him. Again, around 4 a.m., just as Darius was finishing a diagnostic scan on the Porsche, he heard a sound that didn't match the others. Not a luxury engine, not polishing footsteps, tires, screeching, then shouting, then the sound of glass smashing. He bolted outside. A group of 3 men in dark hoodies had pulled up in a battered van and were now circling the fleet of luxury vehicles with cameras and flashlights. One was already climbing onto the hood of the Bentley, posing for a video while another filmed with a phone. Yo, this is insane. Who the hell owns all these? One of them laughed. They parked in front of a damn dump. Darius's heart raced. He shouted, "Get the hell off that car." The guy on the Bentley looked up. Relax, man, we're just filming. You're trespassing, Darius barked, already closing the distance. And if you scratch that hood, I swear, or what the filmer sneered, you're just the mechanic, right? You gonna call the cops on us? The one on the Bentley jumped off, but not before dragging his shoe across the paint and with a loud screech. Darius lunged. The kid was fast. But Darius was angry and used to wrestling with engines heavier than this punk. He grabbed the guy by the collar mid-laugh and slammed him against the van, hard enough to rattle the side panel. You think this is funny, Darius growled, eyes burning. That car's worth more than your life. Let go of me, man, the guy yelled. His friend reached into the van. Darius turned just in time to see something glint metal. Not a gun, a tire iron. But it was swinging fast. Darius ducked low, felt the wind whistle over his head, then drove his fist into the guy's gut. The attacker collapsed. Wheezing. The third kid bolted into the night, phone still recording, shouting something about going viral. Darius grabbed the phone from the second guy and crushed it under his boot. The first one was crawling away now. Hands up. Okay, we're leaving. You better. Darius said through clenched teeth, next time I won't be this nice. They scrambled into the van and tore off. tires screaming, leaving behind a cloud of smoke and a long scratch on the Bentley's hood. Darius stood alone again, chest heaving, fists still clenched. His garage light flickered once, twice, then died completely, plunging everything into silence. He looked around. The entire block was dark. Power outage. Or maybe not. He walked back inside, grabbed the flashlight off his bench, and scanned the fuse box. All normal. He flipped the main switch. Nothing. That's when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. A woman's voice. Calm and cool. Mr. Darius, this is Charlotte from Harrington Motors. We observed what just occurred. You handled it with restraint and precision. That was impressive. Wait, what we've been watching since the first delivery. Those were actors, paid to provoke. You serious, he shouted. One of them swung a damn tire iron at me. It was rubber, she replied smoothly. And you dodged. Nicely done. The camera footage will be reviewed. This was your final test. Final test, Darius was pacing now. You people are insane, we're thorough. You'll receive an encrypted packet at sunrise. Read it. There's an NDA, a contract, and a schedule. If you agree, your life changes today. If not, well, we take the fleet back, and your garage stays what it is. The call ended. Darius stood in the dark, breathing hard, the silence now louder than any engine. He looked at the Bentley's scratch, then at the crumpled hoodie left behind by one of the intruders. He kicked it away. He was done being tested. The sun wasn't even up yet, and already his world had changed twice. But the fire in his chest, it was only just starting to burn. The sun cracked through the horizon like a blade, slicing the night into golden slivers that spilled through the bent garage door. Darius hadn't slept. He sat on a stool near the corner, arms crossed, eyes locked on the blinking red light of a black case left at his doorstep an hour before dawn. It was matte, heavy. No markings, just a digital lock that flashed green when his fingers brushed the top. Inside was a tablet, a packet of papers, and a Harrington Motors pin, small, gold, and shaped like a gear overlaid with wings. He ignored the pin. His hands hovered over the papers, but it was the tablet that caught his eye. As he touched the screen, it came alive, his name displayed over a sleek interface. Darius James, executive proposal, do not share. He tapped play. A video began. Maya appeared on screen, dressed formally, sitting in a vast glass office. Good morning. Darius, she said, her voice sharp, calm, confident. If you're watching this, congratulations. You've passed every stage. The kindness test, the performance test, the restraint test. Few make it this far. The camera cut to footage from last night, grainy security feeds showing him slamming the thug into the van, dodging the tire iron, crushing the phone under his boot. You handled yourself with power and control. She continued, that's what we want in a leader. Our plan is simple. Harrington Elite, an exclusive national chain of luxury service centers, blending the precision of race-level performance with the heart of a neighborhood garage. You'll be the face, the director, and eventually, the co-owner. Darius's breath caught. Co-owner, we've secured 5 properties already. Renovation teams are on standby. You'll lead design, training, and launch. First location, Atlanta. Your training begins tomorrow. The screen faded. A countdown appeared, 17:42:19. Time left to accept. He dropped the tablet onto the bench, heart pounding. This was real. All of it. The night, the tests, the cameras, and now they were giving him keys to an empire. He didn't move? Not yet. He needed air. Outside, the street had returned to normal. The luxury cars were gone, collected silently before dawn like ghosts. His garage was still broken, the front door still bent, the fluorescent lights still flickering. But he was no longer the same man who'd stood beneath them yesterday. Then he heard tires again. Not the deep growl of a Ferrari. This was familiar every day. He turned. A blue Civic pulled up. Its paint faded, hood clunking like it needed help. A woman stepped out, middle-aged, worn down, clutching a paper coffee cup. "Morning," she called hesitantly. "You still open? My check engine light's been blinking since Friday." Darius looked at her, looked at the car, then smiled, just faintly. "Pull it in?" She blinked. Seriously, seriously. She rolled the Civic into the bay, and as he lifted the hood, something inside him settled. This was what mattered. Not just Bentleys or suits or titles, but people, machines, trust, humanity. As he finished inspecting the Civic, the door behind him creaked open. He turned. Maya was there. Again. Dressed down this time, jeans, blouse, aviators. She leaned against the wall. "Had a feeling you'd still be working." He wiped his hands on a rag. Didn't know CEOs did surprise visits. Didn't know mechanics punched teenagers. She shot back with a grin. "Wasn't a real teenager," he said. "He fought like one." They both laughed. Then she stepped forward. "So, are you in? That depends," he said slowly. "This project, Harrington Elite, is it just about the brand, or does it stay real?" She looked him dead in the eye. "It stays real. You lead, or it doesn't happen." He stared at her, then nodded. "Then I'm in, but we do it my way." "Deal," she said. Offering her hand, he shook it, firm, unwavering. "You've got 16 hours until the jet leaves," she added. "There's a custom suit, passport, and your contract waiting at the first stop." "And the dog?" he asked. She frowned. "What dog?" "The one I'll need to blame when I screw something up." She smirked, shook her head. "Welcome to the top." "Darius?" "Nah," he said, glancing back at the Civic. "The top's just another garage. What matters is who walks through the door." And with that, he turned back to work as the woman in the Civic sipped her coffee, unaware she was being helped by the future director of a national empire. Maya watched him for a long second, then stepped outside and made a call. "He's in," she said. "Start phase 2. And tell my father, we finally found him." The Harrington corporate tower loomed like a glass monolith above downtown Atlanta, its reflective surface slicing through clouds like a blade. Darius had never been on a private jet before. He'd never been greeted at an airport by men in suits holding tablets with his name. But that morning, after stepping into the customized Gulfstream, he was no longer just a mechanic. He was a candidate for something bigger, and every second of the trip, he felt like the world was watching. And it was. As he exited the elevator onto the 68th floor, he was met by a woman in a crisp gray suit and platinum hair pulled tight. "Mr. Darius James," she said with a professional nod. "I'm Elise. Right this way. No small talk. No delay." She led him down a corridor that screamed money marble floors, abstract art, frosted glass panels with embedded tech that lit up as they walked by. The last door opened into a boardroom. Long table, 13 chairs, all occupied except the one at the far end. Men and women in tailored suits turned as he entered, their expressions unreadable. At the head sat a man with silver hair and a presence that filled the room even before he spoke. "Mr. James," the man said, "I'm Charles Harrington. Please sit." Darius sat. The room went still. "You've impressed my daughter," Charles began, "and my security division, and my executive board. But I don't invest lightly, so let's get to the final step." He raised a hand. The lights dimmed. A holographic screen glowed to life in the center of the table. Footage played Darius fixing Maya's car, Darius handling the attackers, Darius lifting the hood of the Civic. Every moment had been recorded. "What you did," Charles said, "was rare, honest. But we don't just need honesty, we need leadership." The room shifted. A new voice piped in, this one from a man mid-table, sharp jawline, smug eyes, with respect. "Sir, this man has no degree, no formal management background, no proven corporate experience. Are we really handing a multi-million-dollar rollout to a grease-stained outsider?" Darius didn't flinch. That outsider just built trust with your clients without asking for a cent. He said coolly, how many of your MBA hires can say that? A few eyebrows lifted. The smug man's smirk tightened. Then let's test that trust, shall we? Charles nodded. We've arranged something. Elise, the woman stepped forward and handed Darius a tablet. On it, 6 client files, each with a name, a vehicle, and a coded situation. You have 20 minutes to prioritize these 6 clients. One of them is a plant, one is a decoy, one is a high-risk legal liability, one is a VIP under disguise, 2 are legitimate but low value. Choose wrong and you'll cost us millions. Choose right. And I'm in, Darius said, already scrolling. Each case was a puzzle. A billionaire's daughter claiming battery failure, a retired pilot with engine smoke, a well-dressed woman with strange brake patterns. Darius read, reread, then tapped twice and slid the tablet across the table. You're done, one executive asked. In 9 minutes, that's 9 minutes too long for a real garage. Darius replied, prioritize the Bentley with the brake issue. That's not where that's sabotage. Then the retired pilot, he knows engines. The others can wait or are lying. And that billionaire's daughter, she's the decoy. Rich kids always scream battery. It's usually the key fob. Silence. Charles nodded slowly. He's right on all counts. Elise smiled for the first time. The smug man leaned back, frowning. Welcome aboard. Director James, Charles said. Effective immediately. You'll oversee our Atlanta build-out. Staff selection starts tomorrow. First press conference in 72 hours. Wait, Darius said. One thing. Yes, I want to bring my own crew. My people. The guys who got me here. Charles hesitated. That can be negotiated. No, Darius said. That's the deal. Another silence. Then Charles smiled. You've got guts. Fine. Bring your crew. And one more thing, Darius added. Get me Maya. The room turned. I want her on this rollout, not just as your daughter, as my partner. Charles's gaze narrowed. Then, after a beat, he gave a slow, firm nod. Done. As Darius rose and turned to leave, the smug executive whispered, You're in over your head, mechanic. Darius paused at the door. Then pray I don't learn to swim. And with that, the door slid shut behind him. 3 weeks later, the Atlanta build site was a battlefield of progress. Cranes shifted steel beams into place. Welders showered sparks in every corner. Teams buzzed like ants, all moving to a tempo set by one man, Darius James. He stood in the center of it all, hard hat on, blueprint tablet in hand, barking orders without raising his voice. Every contractor, every engineer, every technician listened. Because Darius wasn't just their new boss, he was their symbol. A mechanic turned mogul, a leader who got grease on his hands and answers on his tongue. Beside him, Maya typed rapidly into her tablet, coordinating press teams, investor visits, and client lists. Their chemistry was unspoken but electric, her vision, his execution. Together, they were building more than a flagship, they were building a revolution in the auto service world. But not everyone wanted it to succeed. In a dim office on the 34th floor of the same tower, Elliot Granger, the executive who once mocked Darius at the board table, watched the site cam feed with a clenched jaw. He sipped scotch, eyes narrowing at every completed beam, every smiling face. Too fast, he muttered. Too clean. Something's off. Across the table, his assistant, a jittery analyst named Rob, shifted uncomfortably. Sir, I don't think there's anything to... Shut up. There's always something. Elliot pulled up a confidential document on screen, internal protocols, security flags, staff background checks. Then he smiled. Found you. Down at the build site. Darius took a break in the temporary operations trailer. Maya handed him a bottle of water. You're 2 days ahead of schedule, she said. You're a machine. He grinned. You say that like it's a bad thing. It is if it means you skip dinner again. She tossed a protein bar at him. He caught it midair. Fine, but only if you eat too. Just then, an alert pinged her tablet. Her smile faded. "What is it?" Darius asked. "Internal security alert. Someone accessed the vehicle performance logs from yesterday's tests. They tried uploading to an external cloud drive. Who's still tracing? But it's coming from the upper floors. Harrington HQ." Darius's expression hardened. "That's not a mistake. That's sabotage." Maya began tapping furiously. "Encrypted logs. Performance data. We just tested the upgraded ECU modules on those Aston Martins. If those specs leak, it could cost us millions. More than that, our edge." "Shut the system down," Darius said. "Permanently? Move all logs to physical backup. No remote access. And no trust. Even inside," she asked. "Especially inside." That evening, Charles Harrington summoned Darius to a private dinner at his estate. The mansion was old money, elegant mahogany floors, oil paintings of race cars, and a massive fireplace roaring despite the spring warmth, over steak and wine. Charles leaned in. "You're doing well, son. Better than we hoped." "Then why the meeting?" Darius asked. Charles paused. "Because someone inside is leaking data. And my gut says it's not about greed, it's about pride. Someone doesn't like that you leapfrogged." "Elliot," Darius said immediately. "He's the only one who looked at me like a threat." "I need proof," Charles said. "I won't destroy a man's career over suspicion." "Then give me 48 hours, Darius replied. "I'll bring you more than proof, I'll bring motive." Back at HQ, Maya hacked into internal communications with the help of Rob, the same assistant Elliot bullied. Turns out Rob had been documenting everything: emails, access logs, even recorded voice memos. In one, Elliot's voice was crystal clear. "This garage idea dies before launch. If I can't stop James directly, I'll bury his system under a data breach. Let the lawyers eat him alive." The next morning, Darius entered the executive briefing room with Rob at his side and played the recording in front of the entire board. Elliot's face went pale. "You bugged me," he snarled. "No," Darius replied. "Your own assistant did. You created your own downfall." Charles stood. "Elliot Granger, your employment with Harrington Motors is terminated effective immediately. You will be escorted off the premises." Security appeared. Elliot lunged forward in a last, desperate move, but Darius stepped between him and Maya. "Try it," Darius said. "Give me one more reason." Elliot hesitated, then laughed bitterly. "You'll never last, grease boy. These people, they'll eat you alive the second you slip." "Then I better not slip," Darius said. "But you're done sliding." As Elliot was dragged out, Darius turned to the board. "From now on, all projects operate under a transparency-first model. No politics, no sabotage, and no room for snakes." The room was silent, then erupted in applause. Later that night, Maya found Darius alone on the roof of the site, overlooking the city. "You should celebrate," she said. "You just fired your first executive." "Yeah, feels weird," he replied. "Like winning a fight you didn't want to throw." "That's what leadership is," she said, standing beside him. "Fighting for what matters, even when you shouldn't have to." "I'm still learning," he murmured. "Good," she said, resting her hand on his, "because we're just getting started." Opening day was chaos, and Darius wouldn't have had it any other way. The new Harrington Elite Flagship Center gleamed like a spaceship on the edge of downtown Atlanta. All brushed metal, curved glass, and chrome accents that reflected the early morning sun like a beacon. It was unlike anything the industry had seen: a luxury car service center that looked like a Formula One pit stop married an art gallery. Inside, pristine white walls wrapped around hyper-efficient service bays, AI diagnostics kiosks, and interactive lounges that smelled of espresso and polished leather. The grand opening had drawn everyone: auto journalists, investors, influencers, local celebrities, even 3 pro athletes whose million-dollar rides had already been booked for inspection. Cameras flashed, drones hovered. Maya moved like a conductor through the crowd, answering press questions, shaking hands, laughing like it was easy. But Darius stood rooted near the entrance. Not out of nerves, but calculation. He scanned everything: body language, door positions, shadows, corners. Elliot's sabotage had made him paranoid, but he wasn't about to let success blind him. A security earpiece crackled. Director James, we've got movement at the east access gate. Unauthorized. Show me. Darius slipped around the side of the building and entered the security room. On screen, a black SUV idling outside the restricted employee entrance. Tinted windows, no plates. Then the door opened. A figure stepped out, broad-shouldered, hoodie drawn, baseball cap low, no badge, no clearance, no hesitation. The man reached into his jacket. Shut the gates. Now, when you do, Darius ordered. Security moved instantly, but the SUV accelerated forward, ramming the half-closed gate with a crunch of metal. The vehicle careened into the side lot and came to a halt just short of the media tent. Screams erupted. People scattered. Cameras turned. Darius burst from the side exit just as the mystery figure leapt out of the SUV and sprinted toward the building carrying a silver cylinder. Bomb, someone yelled. But Darius saw it for what it was, a smoke canister. Still dangerous. Still case. The canister hit the lobby floor, spinning as white fog exploded in every direction. Panic hit like a wave. Guests ran in every direction. Some ducked behind cars. Others fumbled phones. Through the flame, Darius caught a flash of the man's face. Not a stranger. One of Elliot's old interns. A burner. A fall guy. Security lockdown. Now Darius roared into his comm. But Maya was already ahead of him, appearing through the mud with 2 security guards in tow. They tackled the intruder mid-run, slamming him to the ground just before he reached the diagnostics bay. The canister rolled to a stop and hissed itself empty. Alarm screamed. Fire suppression foam began to deploy automatically from the ceiling vents. Darius charged forward, hauling the guy up by the hoodie. Who sent you? I don't know. Man, I just got paid to drop the can and run the man's spat. Bullshit. Darius yanked the cap off. The guy winced. Seriously, I'm just a delivery. A delivery doesn't ram gates and sprint into my diagnostics room. I swear I didn't know what it was. They just told me to cause a scene. Darius's eyes narrowed. Some dude in a Jaguar, silver suit, Eastern European accent, gave me the keys and $5 grand. Maya stepped up, breathing hard. This isn't Elliot. This is something else. Competitor, maybe. Worse, Darius said. It's corporate war. That night, Darius stood in front of a wall of monitors at HQ. Footage from every angle displayed car, suspect, crowd. Maya rubbed her temples beside him. Damage report, he asked. Minimal physical, she replied. But viral. This is everywhere. News stations think it was a beam. Hashtag elite attack is trending. Investors are spooked. 5 pulled out. 1 is threatening to sue. We still own the narrative, Darius said, but we need to act fast. How? We don't wait. We turn this into a spotlight. You want to respond? No. We want to reclaim a press conference, first thing tomorrow. Public, transparent, show footage, explain everything, prove we're secure. And if someone's watching, Maya asked, good, he said, let them see how we fight. The next morning, Darius stood at a podium outside the center. Dozens of cameras pointed at his face. His voice was calm but carried weight. Yesterday, someone tried to shake us. They failed. Because Harrington Elite isn't just a brand, it's a shield. Our clients are safe. Our team is stronger than fear. In our future, you can try to slow it, but you won't stop it. Maya followed with hard data, footage of the event, confirmation of no explosives, and full cooperation with police. The narrative shifted. Commentators called it the fastest corporate response in industry history. Online sentiment rebounded. Clients posted selfies in front of the center, tagging Darius with captions like, "Real ones don't flinch." That evening, Charles Harrington called. You handled that like a general, he said. No. Darius replied, like a mechanic. We don't panic, we fix things. Charles laughed. Tomorrow, I'll have news for you. Expansion. You're going national. But Darius didn't smile. He looked out his office window at the quiet lot below. They're coming harder next time, he said. Maya nodded. Then we build stronger. 2 months later, the Harrington Elite logo had become a symbol of innovation across the country. 7 flagship centers had launched in 7 major cities, each one led by a regional manager handpicked by Darius, trained under his watch, and empowered with a mission: bring honor back to the wrench. From Miami to Seattle, people lined up not just to service cars, but to witness the transformation of the mechanic's image from underpaid and overlooked to respected and elite. But for Darius, the rise in success only meant the fall was now higher, and someone was still watching. It started with a warning from Maya. I just got a message through a ghost relay, encrypted, untraceable. Only 2 people had access to that comm channel. Who, you and Charles? Darius felt the shift instantly. What did it say? She turned the screen to him. One sentence on, he's not who you think he is. Attached a classified financial report hidden under shell companies tied to Harrington Motors. It traced back to funding for experimental chipsets, AI modules, animal augmentation. Darius's heart froze. That's military grade. Why would Charles be funding tech like this through our car division? Maya said, already pulling more files. Unless this was never just about cars. Deeper in the files was a project named Canis Protocol, footage, a black German shepherd with a neural implant, controlled by a handheld device, obeying commands, attacking, retreating, emotionless. Darius stared, breath shallow. That's not tech. That's slavery, and it's built on our funding. Maya whispered, we're the cover. Darius didn't speak. He just stood, then walked out. The elevator ride to the top floor felt like a countdown to betrayal. He burst into Charles's office without knocking. The old man looked up, calm as ever. I assume you found it. You lied to me. I protected you. There's a difference. You used my name, my team, my work, just to cover military research. It wasn't meant to go public. It's not just unethical, it's inhumane, Darius shouted. You used dogs, living beings. We saved lives with it. The military backed out, but the tech is ours now. Ours to direct, not with my name on it. Charles stood, his voice suddenly razor sharp. You're a symbol, Darius, a damn good one. But don't forget who gave you this stage. I earned this stage, Darius snapped, with sweat, not lies. Then walk, Charles growled. But when everything burns down, don't expect me to rebuild it. Darius turned and left, but he wasn't walking away. He was walking straight to war. That night, Darius called every manager across the elite centers. Maya released the footage, the documents, the full truth anonymously. The internet erupted. Animal rights activists stormed Harrington's headquarters. Hashtag Canis Exposed trended for 2 straight days. But it wasn't enough. Harrington's lawyers responded with threats. Darius was slapped with a cease and desist. His name pulled from all signage. His face erased from the website. Clients were told he resigned, but the people weren't stupid. Videos of Darius training staff, fixing cars, hugging old customers went viral again. Support exploded. Local garages offered their own spaces to continue his mission. Then came the call. An anonymous billionaire investor. I want to fund a new version, the voice said. Same heart, no corporate rot. You lead it. You name it. Darius hung up, then picked up Maya's hand. Time to rebuild. 3 months later, the People's Garage launched in Atlanta an open access model where customers could watch every repair live. Staff earned equity, and no data was hidden behind glass. On opening day, thousands came. Reporters, customers, ex-Harrington employees. One by one, clients parked cars and shook Darius's hand like he was a mayor. At noon, Darius took the mic on stage. Maya stood beside him, behind them. The first rescued dog from Canis, now renamed Valor, sat proudly wearing a blue vest that read Companion, not weapon. We don't serve machines, Darius said, voice echoing over the crowd. We serve people. We protect life. We build trust. The crowd erupted. Somewhere in the back, someone shouted, "You're our mechanic, King," he laughed. And for the first time in a long time, it felt real. Charles Harrington watched from his tower, a ghost of power, his empire crumbling under protest and scandal. And Darius, he walked off stage into the crowd, not as a CEO, not as a technician, but as a man who chose the right fight and won. From a stranger's gratitude to a national movement, Darius showed us one truth: real power starts with kindness. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please like and share the video.